is Rave. I've been hacking since I was 12, and it's been a while and been fun. I learned and got a lot of information when I was in school, and the positives of hacking, not the negatives.
How did you first get into hacking?
From school, I got an internship to work for the government.
What'd you do in that job?
So what the job was is to test local businesses or the government security by you would call a customer of the branch, and by doing that you would just ask them certain questions or passwords, because you're a employee or something, and trick them into giving your stuff. So it's kind of like bugging them. So by them giving you the information, you can just hack into their system. And we would do that for national security as well. In the same way with kind of banks, and we use cyber security and stuff just to find out information.
So, how effective do you think cybersecurity is?
I think it's really effective, but it could either be used for good or bad, depending on what you're looking at. I was part of the good where we would try to test out and find solutions to the cybersecurity by hacking into, we hacked into a bank, tried to steal money, and it was easier than it should be. But you also have terrorists who can do the same and just could be just so bad.
What do you think the major threats of hacking are?
The major threats is that hacking, you can get away with a lot of stuff if you're really quiet and you know what you're doing. I just think it's a bigger threat than people think, and I think people being more educated about the technology or computer advancements would be really important, just to help stop the move of hacking and other continuous events.
Could you explain a hack that you know how to do in computer programming language?
So one way we would hack is with something simple. We would get their email, and we would by going into there, we would use a bug-filled website, and it would just give up all the information they wanted to. And another way is we did cryptology. What cryptology is it encodes or decodes messages. And by using that, you can use it for credit cards to get numbers out of the credit card. So, you can hack into social media or Twitter by just making a fake Twitter, and by encoding an algorithm, which is just a problem or a solution into that. By doing that, by following somebody else and that they follow you back, it releases information that you can get to hack into their profile by learning passwords or any other details.
Good. My name's Randall. I've been into hacking since I was 13 or 14, and I really like physical hacks, looking at hardware and how that can be utilized for a person to be able to access the system, like rubber duckies, pineapples, and other software and hardware that's integrated.
So how did you first get into hacking?
I've really always been into computers, so it's just kind of a natural progression to start to wonder how they work. And I got into programming because of video games, and once again, it's just a natural progression to start to wonder how the hardware that these games are running on works. That's probably how I got into it, really. There's not really a definitive time that I got into hacking, but it's just something that came along.
So, what kind of experience do you have?
I'm more of a hardware kind of hacker. Hacking, at its base definition, is just making anything do something that's not supposed to. So, when you jailbreak a phone, that's a hack. If you mess around with microcontrollers and stuff, you can hack those to do stuff for you. So,
what do you know about microcontrollers?
So microcontroller is basically a mini computer. Very popular ones are Raspberry Pis. Arduino. There's really hundreds of them out there, and that really kind of gets into like Internet of Things and stuff like that.
Yeah, could you talk about the Internet of Things a little?
So the Internet of Things is basically just the idea. It's really an idea right now at this point. That one day, all of our appliances, things in our everyday life will be connected. So, like your refrigerator will keep stock of what you had in it, and it'll let you know if you're running low on eggs or if your milk's expired. It's just interconnectivity that is basically the next step in globalization of technology.
What kind of implications do you think that increase in technology has?
Well, people will always find a way to hack something. It's a given. It's nothing. It's something that we're going to have to deal with forever, unless someone finds a way to stop it altogether. And if that happens, well, there'll be no innovation anymore, because no one will ever have to fix something. But so the implication of it right now, it's already possible to hack someone's car remotely and shut it down. You can make someone's car stop in the middle of the highway if you really wanted to and you had access. It's possible to unlock a person's car by sending out a signal that mimics the key fob that they use to unlock it. Most of these things have been found by white hat hackers, people that take the information that they learn from hacking something and reporting it to the proper people to get that stuff fixed. However, if something, some kind of exploit is found by red hat hackers, people that use this stuff for blacklist, then it's very possible for it to be used against millions, possibly, even billions, if their devices are all connected with the same firmware and stuff.
How do you feel about hacktivism in Anonymous? What do you know? Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a bit of a supporter of Anonymous. Overall, I think they're a great group of people. And I'm not using the word organization because at its root, Anonymous is leaderless. It has very little structure. I mean, it has people that do a lot, but it's about the anonymity. There's no one person that has all the control. It's broken up. It allows everyday people to take action. I'm just going to go in a story I know about that issue. But Anonymous took out, I can't remember the guy's name, some very avid political guy, his website. And they used that by DDoSing him and just having everyday people download a tool to spam his servers with requests, which eventually crashed it. Another example, Anonymous took on Scientology, and they crippled them for a time period before finally stopping. So, while they can be a force for good, like taking out ISIS, Twitter accounts and stuff, they can also do some bad. It's a possibility.
That was awesome. So, how do you feel about big data and government surveillance having a background in computer science?
Well, that's where things get tricky. It's the question between freedom and protection. So with terrorism these days, and more like North Koreans, like there are tons of hackers in their army basically that are trained to be able to take out anyone's systems that they don't like if it's connected to the internet. And any terrorists that are in state, like in the States, having government agencies be able to monitor what you're doing and like what you're saying online, it has its advantages, but where does it end? That's the question. How far do they look? How far is their reach? Because there are merits for both, having it and not having it.
What are some hacks you know? Like, what is one hack you know, and could you like briefly explain some of the technical things behind it?
As I said, I'm more of a hardware kind of guy, but um, like, I'll go to the story. There's ransomware out there done by Russian hackers. Like, yeah, basically Russian hackers. They'll send an email with an attachment to you looking like a company that's more legit that they don't really have to worry about, or that people don't really have to worry about. And when you open the attachment, it allows a virus access to your computer, which will then go and encrypt all of your data. This is done through a variety of means, uh, and uses keys that it would be impossible, virtually impossible for anyone except for the hackers, with the key to decrypt everything to give you your stuff back. Which is why majority of people that this happens to end up paying the hackers the money and hoping that they give them their data back.
How do you feel about the recent advent of WikiLeaks and Julian Assange and people like that with what they're doing?
I think it's a dangerous game, but it's one that someone has to do. Otherwise, there's very little accountability for anything that happens. In those documents leaked, they talked about how the CIA has access to zero-day hacks, which are basically exploits in programs that are like released and are unfixed, typically, which allow people to access hardware and monitor and whatever, just get access. I know there's, if I remember, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's one with some smart TVs where it allows people to access your microphone, the microphone in it, and basically just listen in to what people are saying.
So yeah, last question. Just talk a little bit about machine learning, deep learning, and what do you think the future of artificial technology, AI technology will look like in the future?
So, machine learning, as I understand it, is it's basically artificial intelligence, essentially. And being able to adapt and learn things that people can do, but as of right now, an automated AI can't really do very well. It's getting there, but as far as I know right now, there's nothing that's really definitive, like no prime example. But eventually, it'll revolutionize our world as it is. It's possible for like AI, advanced AI in the future to possibly be able to deal with hacking and be used for hacking as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It could be used for monitoring people autonomously. It could be used on a wide scale to monitor people and their data, what they say, what they do online. So it's a very dangerous game.
Actually, one more question. What do you know about algorithms?
I mean, algorithms are, at the basis, very basic. It's simply just searching for certain key terms, conditions, items. That's basically the root of an algorithm. It's basically how people make decisions. We are given an environmental stimuli, and we decide what to do for next. So, like, if this happens, if this condition is true, we go left, we go right, we lift our arm up, we lift our arm down, we say a certain word, we give a certain response. That's essentially what an algorithm is.
Yeah, speaking on that, do you think it's ever possible that someone can model the human brain with computer technology?
I think that's going to happen. I think it will. Experts say that the what's it called? Singularity, I believe.
Yeah,
Singularity is going to happen in about like 20 years, and at that point, AI will be smarter than humans.